Hello all, welcome back to the Tech on Toast podcast. My name's Chris Fletcher and it's season 11. This season we have ZenZap as our sponsor for the Tech on Toast podcast. And if you're in hospitality, you know how chaotic managing a team can get. Don't worry, ZenZap is here to change that. Now, I've been using ZenZap for my own team at Tech on Toast, and honestly, I don't know how we've managed without it. It's a game changer for keeping everything organised. Instead of juggling endless email threads, WhatsApp groups, and random sticky notes around my office, we've got everything in one place. Conversations sorted by topic, tasks assigned and tracked without fuss, and files right at your fingertips when you need them. And for you guys in the restaurants, it's a no-brainer. The kitchen team can report supply issues in a dedicated chat. Managers can roll out new specials to the front of house instantly, and task assignments like prepping for a big event, all handled effortlessly. And my absolute favourite part, ZenZap keeps your work life separate from your personal life. No more work messages clogging up my WhatsApp, and no more 10 p.m. pings from my team ruining my downtime. It's intuitive, secure, and works on any device, so you're always connected but always in control. If you're ready to simplify your team's comms and get your evenings back, try ZenZap for free. No card needed, zenzap.co. Go check it out. Big thanks to ZenZap. Big thanks to all of you for coming to listen. Should we get on with it? I think so. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the next episode of the Tech on Toast podcast. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Mark Roberts. I'm going to call you, I know you don't want this, but I'm going to call you founder and CEO of Rapid Res. Okay. How are you, mate?
Very, very good, Chris. Yeah, thanks
Welcome.
for having me.
We were just talking about job titles for context, so everybody understands. Saying how we're not sure they're really important anymore.
No. I'm not a big fan of it, and particularly, talking to our outbound sales guys. You know, what do you call them? Who wants to be called a salesperson?
Yeah.
Who when someone
Outbound.
reads. Yeah, when somebody reads it in the bottom of a footer of an email, what's the best thing? Partnerships, business manager.
I don't know, just
I don't
chap.
really know.
Nice chap.
Well, yeah, this is it. And being such a small company, we pretty much do everything. So, yeah, I am the CEO, but then I'll turn my hand to this, turn my hand to that. Yeah. Anyway.
I think we've all been in that place. It's lovely. So look, before we get into it, tell us a little bit about you, because this isn't your first foray into tech, is it? You're a past master.
I'm not sure entirely so.
Okay, you've done it before.
I have done it before. Yeah. So, quite a long time ago, but even before I'd like to remember. I used to work in the city, mid-20s. So, I'm 43 now. So, a good while ago. And my brother started a restaurant guide up in the East Midlands called Go Dine.
I know this.
Yes. Do you?
Yes, because I spent a lot of time in the Midlands in my career. I was 25 years across Midlands for Carluccio's, had the Hard Rock in Birmingham, had a few different varies up there, but you had a rep that used to come in and ask us to join. Yeah, was it you? I don't know, but it was a young man who used to come in and see us quite regularly.
He was really good, obviously.
Yeah, it was fantastic. We bought it all the time.
It was a restaurant guide. My brother started off with 26 restaurants straight out of university. I worked in the city in down on Fenchurch Street, and it just got fed up with the corporate world.
Yeah.
I think I got sent one too many spreadsheets, even though I was an account manager. My job was going out, meeting people, growing accounts. And then joined my brother. He had 26 restaurants. We started working across, anywhere up and down the M1. It was essentially me driving up and down, signing up restaurants, working with restaurants. And it worked in a top table model. So that was a couple of quid a cover, £1 at lunch, whatever it was. And we ended up working with 300 restaurants, and people putting bookings through, group bookings. Oh, we need a pre-order, we need a payment. Oh, it's a pain. We wanted to get paid for this, for sending these group bookings. But to get that, we needed a deposit, we needed a pre-order in place. And we were this middleman, we were trying to get everything sorted. So we came up with this idea of a company called Easy Pre-Orders, which pre-order platform, B2B. We had some good relationships with restaurants, and we started working with people pretty much immediately after we built a monumental platform, which you always think, as you'll know, Chris, with web development, we'll just knock this together. A good year later, we had an MVP. We ended up working with restaurants, particularly Christmas, solving the Christmas issue of pre-orders, payments, getting the menu across.
Still going, my friend. I mean, there's a WhatsApp marketing group that I'm part of, Vic Searle. 700 marketers in there.
Okay.
It's an amazing group, actually. And then she's just handed it over to someone else. But I remember October, maybe late September, October, the requests started flooding in. And I was shocked how some of the larger tech firms, reservation tech firms, you can work it out already who I'm talking about, didn't accommodate set menus and didn't accommodate group bookings, deposit, blah, 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 blah. Surely that's the thing of the past when I was in ops, but apparently not.
No, it is actually, on the face of it, it sounds simple. It's just a bit of online ordering, right?
But that's what I would say, obviously.
Yeah, you're talking. It ends up getting into millions of different connotations where you're talking about orders within orders, payments within payments. I've got to pay for you. Oh, but our deposit.
Yeah, when you got
is
individuals
10
wanting to
ahead.
pay their part, yeah.
Yeah, and it is quite complex, and obviously every single restaurant works differently. I've got a set menu. I use bundles. I've got tapas menus. I've got set menus. I'm an a la carte restaurant.
Yeah.
But I've got an a la carte menu that also works with a set menu at the same time.
I'm already over it.
Yeah. So let's leave it be. But we did actually solve that issue, and we ended up working with a huge amount of restaurants, and we ended up partnering with Booktable when they were around, and we ended up being acquired by Michelin. I worked for them for a year to integrate it into the business, and then exited just as COVID started. So
Timing is everything, my friend.
yes, I would like to say it was. I knew it was coming, but no. So yeah, I was quite lucky, but it was a very up and down journey. It was typical startup stuff.
Yeah.
It really was. We had a small team from the outside. We looked a lot bigger. We saw some competitors fail, having raised significant amount of money. Just hard work.
Yeah.
Hard work. But this time it was. This one was supposed to be about good fun.
Are you having
Last time
fun?
it was death or glory. This time, it was let's get it done. I mean, so I ended up working. I had 3 years out. I couldn't work in the industry again. So I ended up getting involved in property and stuff like this, and I was burnt out, mate.
Yeah.
I was done.
Sometimes that reset must be really important, right? Because you think about a lot of founders who come on this. There's a lot of young guys now who are getting into that kind of game, and because just after the pandemic, people were raising money for fun, right? For tech, it's particularly order injection type tech, and I think that you can see those same people now 3 years on, wishing they hadn't. Maybe not all of them, but it seems like I think having that reset and also being a bit older, you have that. Not just business acumen, but you have that. You understand a bit more about what you're capable of.
Yeah, I think so. And you start to understand, where your limits are. You start, you know yourself. You start to see things and see patterns, and even in your thought process and stuff like that. I think with one of my old investors, he was really really good guy, a guy called Martin, and he. Even one of the simple things. He had a company that he'd expanded and sold to PLC, and he used to say, look, when I'm getting into the car, having locked the door. At my house. Did I lock the door? My brain's somewhere else. I need to take a break.
Yeah.
And it's just knowing things like that. And I think for me at the time, I was in the trenches far too much. I should have been out more. I got involved in every single part of the business, which I'm not good. Can't regret it.
It is what it is.
Thing, but I wish I'd spent more time. On the more CEO-centric side of things.
Yeah, I think it's a massive learning. A lot of founders go through this process, I think, of thinking they know what's important until they know what's important.
Yeah.
And you only really learn about that when you're failing or people are leaving you or whatever it might be, or customers or team are telling you otherwise. So I think someone talked about, there was the owner of Cornish Bakery who's grown up to 80 sites. He was on a panel with here at Service at the big event we did in February. And he said, we asked him what was one thing you would definitely do again, not what you hadn't done. What would you say you definitely do again?
Yeah.
He goes, I'd hire adults right on the table again from the start.
Right from the beginning.
He said right from the start, I paid big salaries that I couldn't afford, got people that shouldn't have been working for me, should have been working for big chains.
Yeah.
But it was the right thing to do because they helped me grow really quickly.
Yes.
Because they were making great decisions based on experience rather than kind of finger in the air stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's an argument for both cases, but it was interesting.
I think there is. I think it's also, down to kind of what business you are and what industry you're in and, what your focus is. I mean, essentially back then we were in a day when Just Eat Delivery were just starting. Online ordering wasn't even a thing, so there was no textbook as to how do you run this business? What's the best way of doing it? How do you expand? We weren't copycatting anyone. We were essentially trailblazing. We had to educate restaurants, and then essentially sell it to them, understanding the ROI, particularly around Christmas and things like that. And it was a long slog.
Yeah.
Access to finance and stuff like that was a big struggle for me because I was a first-time entrepreneur. All the questions are, sorry, who are you? What have you done?
Yeah.
Not, okay, this is quite a cool business and you're working with all the biggest restaurant chains in the UK.
Yes.
It's like, sorry, you used to work in insurance in the city? What are you doing here? But of course that's changed with this new business and Rapid Res just came out of a place where back in that day, I was always quite fascinated about the speed of service.
Yeah.
And you do see solutions out there that kind of solve it. And when I say solutions, I'm talking about the likes of Pret and your Starbucks and your Costa, places like that, where the attempting to speed service, give decent food, and essentially these places for us have become kind of a bit of an unnecessary evil, and we're not a big fan of those, to be honest, in terms of, and I know restaurants aren't either. Particularly if we walk through the city, we find that there's A-boards outside, 2-course lunch for 15 quid.
Yeah.
But then we'll go to Pret and we'll spend the same money on a baguette, a sandwich, and we'll click away on a BBC for lunch, and it's not really that rejuvenating. It's not great.
No.
So yeah, Rapid Res is just all about speeding service. So essentially our tagline, and it's one of mine. It's just
See, look, CEO stuff.
I've got into marketing. Same restaurants, just quicker. So we have absolutely no degradation of quality. Absolutely nothing like that. We literally just speed service. So whether it's for 2 people, 4 people, 6 people at lunch, we offer the alternative to get people actually out in a restaurant for lunch, for pre-theatre, and we speed groups as well. Essentially, all of the ordering time's taken away. You can invite your friends via WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it might be.
So there's like social, or not ordering, but social interaction in terms of reservations.
Yeah. And, essentially the system's having the conversation you'd have before you turn up to a restaurant. So hi Chris, well, what do you want? And obviously, I'm quite generous, so I'm going to pay for you. That could be perfect for businesses, things like that, sales meetings, whatever it might be. And we've all been in an office where we've had a conference, 20 people, stuffy room, and good old tray of sandwiches turns up, same old stuff, egg and cress, chicken and bacon, fruit, prawn cocktail, crisps, whatever it is. But the same next to the office would be a restaurant group offering a pizza, a salad, and a drink for 12 quid,
and a lovely waiter to serve you.
Yeah, and a toilet and a table, and all of these things that you take for granted in a restaurant. So yeah, we are looking to drive people away from the corporate side of things. I mean, if we look at the market, that side is really growing nicely, for the likes of Pret, up to like 500 stores. Starbucks, Costa, again, they're growing. I think it was back in 2022, 23, revenues up 20%, but the restaurant industry on the decline, flatlining, and really struggling. And we're really trying to work with restaurants to say to them, look, guys, you've got people queuing up for expensive mass manufactured sandwiches.
It's weird, isn't it? And because they must look out the window and see that, right? I mean, we used to have it in Carluccio's when I was there, and we used to look out the window and go, why would you go over there?
Yeah.
We've got freshly cooked pasta.
Yeah.
And we started doing exactly what you're saying. We started doing £5 meal deals at lunch.
Yeah.
We almost started lowering our not standards, but like just trying to compete on that level.
Definitely.
Whereas technology can do that for you, right? You can kind of replace or use it to grease the wheels, as it would be.
Yeah, it's those decisions about where you go and eat aren't necessarily all about money. It's for us, particularly at lunch, it's pre-theatre, it's time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we used to work at the Royal Opera House back in the day, and I took my girlfriend there, and it was realising that they'd actually the system that we built to say I would like my starter and my main before the Traviata begins, and then I want my chocolate torte in the second interval and my gin and tonic in the third.
Describing my life, mate.
The opera and 3-course meals.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
not really.
No. But it was early days for my girlfriend, so I thought, let's
I get it. You're impressing.
Going to impress. And there was no solution there whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I was like thinking, hang on a minute, what do I do? Where do we go? And yeah, we started creating Rapid. It's got to be around about 18 months, 2 years ago. So the platform's huge. The platform's mega. It is orders within orders. You like your takeaway platform without the logistics side, obviously.
Yeah.
But orders within orders, payments within payments. It's really quite challenging thing to build.
And how has it been received? 'Cause I know you're very early still, because you said you built it over the last 18 months. And how long have you been
Well, yeah, I mean
out there doing it as it would be?
so yeah, it was 18-month build. It was promised to be 12 months, so we could actually hit summer going
Yeah.
into Christmas and
Oh, last summer.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
it, and start solving the Christmas issues around ordering and payments and doing things like we can do table cards at the click of a button. So when you turn up, and
Yeah.
who's got turkey, no one's listening, everyone's drinking.
God, I hate that so much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
Simon.
nightmare. Or,
Yeah.
or you're the organizer at the end of a table, like like you've been orchestrating the whole thing. Oh, Chris, you've got the turkey, and da da da. But yeah, we ended up only selling to restaurants, the platform in September, October. So we missed the Christmas boat,
Yeah.
really, which is a bit of a shame. But the idea was, let's work with half a dozen restaurants. Let's really, prove the concepts and stuff like that. Got some of the old team back, developers, salespeople, account management, marketing, people that have always said, "Mark, you go again, let me know."
Bringing the band back together.
Yeah, which is quite cool, really.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you can replicate, obviously product is different, but
Yeah.
if you replicate the experience around it and the team around it, it's not a guaranteed home run, but it's not far away, right? In terms of they know you as well, which I think must be really useful.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, they trust me, which they must do. I
Said
mean,
it with such a strange face, but
yeah, I know. I just find it. Yeah, it's quite nice.
yeah, that
It's-
takes
it's quite
time, right?
nice.
I just said to you coming in, I'm building a new team at the moment, and
Yeah.
it takes time to get to know people. And
It does.
I have a recruitment agency as part of the company.
Yeah,
I remember with the first 3 months were squeaky bum time, right? With him, I was just like, have I done the right thing? Now he's flying, right? So sometimes you just got to give it time, and you got to earn that trust. But you already have it.
Thankfully, and we've got an absolutely exceptional team. It's been great, and as the idea was September, October, let's work with half a dozen restaurants. Let's bumble along. Let's learn some things. But we started walking into places around Borough Market, walking into restaurants, and I have never seen crossed arms turned into, so what do you want, mate? To this sounds actually a really good idea.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because I sit in a lot of demos, right, with our partners and whatnot, and meet operate. We had our operator yesterday, 20 years as a general manager.
Okay.
She's running like all these different sites now, but she was talking about their volume, and she's very set in their ways, if you know what I mean. Great people, great industry people, but that arms folded moment, it's very interesting seeing that undone on the calls, and it's only ever when the person doing the delivery has really found the problem. And it sounds really obvious to say that, but when you've really kind of hit on that point with the operational solution to something, they're like, okay, that's me. I've got that issue. Yeah. And I was going to ask you, is that the kind of feedback you're getting straight quite quickly? That you discovered that?
I can honestly, hand on heart, say that we have not had a restaurateur turn around and say, no, we're not going to do this because of this is a rubbish idea because of X. It has been really quite remarkable. Just the receptiveness to the idea.
And are you out? I mean, I know you're bringing the team back together, but have you been out doing that as in like on the front
started,
of it?
But I mean, like I say, it was like let's work with half a dozen restaurants for the first few months. I'm going to fund it. We're going to learn. We're going to do this. But then we were literally walking into restaurants and walking out with contracts. So right now we've got. Well, we're hoping by the end of this month we'll be on 60 to 80 restaurants as a minimum.
That's
great. We've got some really interesting partnerships as well, which is really quite.
And are you focused on? Obviously, you've got SME, it's independent sites around Borough, around there, but you've also got the chain guys in there as well. Where is your focus
in terms of chains? I mean, I think in terms of where the market's changed for me in the last 4 or 5 years, particularly, is around connectivity, around APIs, around one system, one source of truth. Back in my day, 5 years ago, that wasn't really a thing. It was nice. They were nice to haves. But we ended up working with back then with restaurants and connecting via API into EPOS till systems, into reservation systems. Obviously, we dovetailed into Book a Table, Michelin, and then when we moved out to like people like Micros and Zonal and people like that.
Micros?
Yeah, but which Micros?
Not 3700, was it?
Oh my god. So yeah, we ended up connected with all of these people, and that for me has been really quite, looking from the outside and coming back to it has been a big change. So for us, our restaurants that we like to work with now, up to say 6, 12 max restaurant groups, independents definitely. I think that's
Because they are the ones that are nimble, right, aren't they? They are more agile in terms of their offer, in terms of what they want to do to react, like exactly what the problem you're solving. Whereas the chain guys, I do think, are following more of a corporate mantra, are kind of probably wedded to their menus and their offers a bit more than these guys.
I think the expectation around technology connectivity is quite big. And it kind of then does beg the question of how do you get into work with these big guys if you don't have the connectivity in the first place? Where do you come from to get that? It's a chicken and egg thing, right? But yeah, for us, it's independence. It's anything. I mean, we have restaurants that you can book through our platform now. You can have Camino. You can have a steak and potato preference for £10, and through Rapid Res, you'll be in and out within 30 to 40 minutes.
It's insane.
Yeah, or we can go to a chain sandwich shop and spend almost the same on a baguette and a bag of crisps. So that's the Caminos of the world. We work with Red Dog. We work with other independents, and not quite so independent, but yet Red Farm's a great one. So, and again, people like Moresco, we've been really fortunate, and I'll be completely hold my hands up. I never thought we'd be in this situation in September, October. My previous company really was a long sale, a really, really quite a difficult thing to sell. But this is different. We're B2C. We're bringing business in.
And I think that's what you just said. They're bringing business in. And that's where a lot of the tech guys who've built products and go to market have great product, right? I think tech generally, and as you said, in a connected world, there's a lot of great stuff out there. But more now than ever, you've got to fix revenue or cost. Otherwise, or as in immediately. Otherwise, I'm not sure where you sit in the stack, because there's some stuff you have to have as commodity, right? That links one thing to another, whatever. But I think because of the cost they're facing and all the other, stuff that you hear about every day, all the problems we've got in the industry, if you can drive revenue or prove or save time, it's absolutely huge. There is no other bigger benefit in the industry right at the moment, trying to prove that.
No, but promising to bring business is also quite a tough ask, isn't it? Unless you're a delivery of this world with a marketing budget.
With a budget of whatever,
But there's got to be clever ways of doing it. I do believe that fundamentally we've got really quite a decent offering that anecdotally I can tell you that everyone we speak to goes, you know what, that's a bloody good idea. So it's about conveying that message, and we're doing it in a number of different ways. So we have partners with restaurants. We have essentially two ways of working with restaurants. We have a partner, or we have what we've called solo, I guess, where we essentially will promote your restaurant and we'll do it ourselves, and you don't want to do anything. But if you're a restaurant that wants to collaborate, we will work with influencers. We will help you create content for your own socials. We can give you booking widgets. We incentivize you to use it for the group operational side, and essentially you pay less commission. Because marketing is expensive. Marketing, for me, the whole world of marketing is very tough. It's almost it's so difficult nowadays. There's so many channels. It's easy to flick. It's easy to say no. It's easy to move along. It's not like telly.
Well, email is taking I think B2C, B2B still. I find the two different ways very interesting. B2B, I still find we have more success doing that. We tried to launch something doing B2C a while ago. Oh my God. The pain and spend behind having an impact there. I mean, a lot of it you'll never see. You won't even know if you've had return. And the other side of it is it's bloody expensive to get it right. And the best ones doing it have great brand, or have been lucky, or found a market where they sit quite nicely. The pizza guys can alternate around their brands, whatever. I'm talking about probably. But it just depends, right? And I think when you're independent, you're in a massive fight. There's a big scrap between you and the guy next door, or even down the road. So it is interesting. Do they ask you? How do you prove ROI then to these guys when they invest in you?
So again, the business model from my previous company, we had to make this thing called a profit because we found it difficult to raise money.
Strange things, though.
I know, it's remarkable in the technology space.
A lot of eye rolling going on right now.
But back then, we raised some angel money. We got hold of some grants. We got hold of some regional stuff. But we still had to essentially make revenue in its early days. So we were charging restaurants, up to £90 a month to use the platform, and using Stripe Connect to take a very fractional percentage out of the deposits. This time, we are pure transactional based. So if we don't send you any business, you don't pay a penny for it. I think what restaurants are really understanding is that we're not here to cannibalize your market. We are here to take it away from your large corporate sandwich chains that are owned, by a board or shareholders, and move them back into restaurants. And restaurants really get that. I think from your experience at Carluccio's, essentially driving down your menu price to compete with Pret, it's
untenable. Well, as we proved.
and ultimately, people do express menus.
Yeah.
They say, oh yeah, but if you've got a table of 10, is it going to be express menu?
Yeah.
Am I going to get my P45, on my desk because I'm 10 minutes late from my lunch break?
I think one of the best examples, we used to do 2 for 1 in January every year.
Yeah.
So a very different type of customer we used to get in every January, and it was absolute carnage.
Right.
It didn't do anything. We didn't make any money because it was 50% off, and we really put ourselves in the ditch because we didn't deliver great service. So it was this one thing we did every year. I used to think we're all this quality, and then we do that, and it didn't make sense ever. And it just shows sometimes that be true to your core, do what you do well, but use every lever you can find to kind of get in the market, which is what you guys are doing.
Did you utilise any of the discounting things back then as well? Because
you know what?
That's a big sale for.
I think we were on Groupon at one point. I mean, which is. Who did I meet from Groupon? The guy who ran Deputy for a while was former Groupon. But it didn't. And I was at Prime Minister. They actually lived in a lot of that land when I first joined, but made no money from it.
No,
really great redemption on it.
Yes,
but actually the margin was pretty much zero.
Yeah, and the biggest question for me is would you return and pay double the price?
Yeah, exactly that. And it just didn't do us any good.
No,
it was difficult. And I think there's a perception, right, of that kind of stuff from a user. I don't know, actually. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just not the right user for it. But I
don't know. I do like what some people are doing in terms of justifying the discount.
Yeah.
So if you get to your early tables, you get a discount if you're the first one in or whatever. I like that, but otherwise, I'm not a big fan.
Well, pre-theatre is very interesting. You've mentioned that a few times, actually. Again, we had Stratford upon Avon, which was next door to the theatre with a big, I say a big terrace, probably about 60 seats. So it wasn't huge, but it was
big enough.
Absolute chaos, right? And we got to a point, but we did it through our own way. And I suppose it took us about 2 years really to get really good at that. And you just imagine what we could have done for that 2 years that we weren't there. I suppose if you guys have been around or something like that, we could have used. So pre-theatre is a very particular type of sell and run type thing when you've got to get as many.
Yeah, it really is. And for example, me and the girlfriend, we went to Royal Opera House. I did book a table 2.5 hours before the performance. Yeah. Because I'm just, what happens if it's really busy? Where am I going to be? Are we going to get to the curtain on time? But yeah, that's one of the massive premises behind it, that we are going to take at least 15 minutes at the beginning and 15 minutes at the end of your bill splitting time. So fundamentally, we are reducing the table turn. But where it gets really interesting is when we start getting a critical mass and we start saying to restaurants, look, at lunchtimes, you're obviously very busy on a Friday. You turn your table, I don't know, probably 1.2 times, roughly.
That's exactly what it was. No, that's exactly what I used to. Well, I used to quote that 1. At colleges, I used to talk about 1.2. Yeah. That's so weird. How do you find that? I must have done this before.
Maybe the sales meeting was Carluccio's. It was me. But in essence, if we're enabling that table turn to be quicker, you could turn that table to 2.2 times. Yeah. That increases revenue. Then we're talking about reducing the need to distribute menus, to talk about the dietary requirements. We're taking away all the waiting time.
Yeah, it's throughput, isn't it?
We have the kitchen check-in before you've even walked in. We have in the offing, like any tech company does, 1,001 things we want to do in the future. Anything through from tracking your GPS to you seeing you walk up to the restaurant, so we know when to serve your food. If we just have a bit of logic around, what's the starter away time? Chris is actually 2 minutes away from the restaurant. We could actually be cooking your food before you've even walked.
I mean, it's madness, isn't it? Think about it. But actually, it's just that value of time, and everybody who's ever worked in a restaurant, everybody knows 12:30, 1:30. I mean, it depends. In the regions, actually, a bit longer. When I worked in the regions outside of London, so when you go Birmingham, Sheffield, Leeds, wherever, used to find you get an extra half an hour, probably grace, because it's just a different type of market. But down here, hour.
Yes.
If that, 45 minutes, I don't know.
And it's, we have such a different culture to some European countries as well here. My parents are lucky enough to have a house in France, and I go there, and it's just a short Ryanair flight, and then we'll go out to some tiny little villages. and every single restaurant's packed at lunch with people in orange gear that are working up telephone poles, and you've got, local accountants, you've got the police there as well. I'm not suggesting we turn into France, 3-course meals, carafe of red wine, but it's got to be a happy medium ground where we are, religiously not just sat at our desk,
It's pretty late. I think we're lazy, the right word. I'm not sure is the right word, but I think we're pretty lazy in our habitually on what we do with lunch. I think it becomes very easy to be fixed in that vein, going, I'll just sit at my desk. I remember when I first worked for Prime Minister, I'd never worked in an office before. I'd always been on the road, been an ops director or whatever. And it's the first time I've been on the board somewhere. And I remember sitting at the office desk the first week going, is this my life now?
Yeah, is this it?
Horrific. And I started going to Sainsbury's to get my sandwich and my. It was lit, and I think day 3, I kind of like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I work in a restaurant chain. I'm doing this. Obviously, I couldn't eat pie every day. No. But we started going in Stokes Croft, which is a pretty cool area in Bristol. We started going around there, trying different places out, and it was great for the team as well, right? Just showing them different stuff. So I think you've got habitually we're not great British people at breaking routines sometimes.
No, and I think you also, I've worked at my desk at this lunch. You wear it like a badge of honour, but is it actually do you any good?
No one appreciates it.
No, and when you actually look at some white papers on productivity, sluggishness, things like that, and ultimately when you're doing business, having a meeting with people over, breaking bread with people on a table, actually, doing business with people, sitting down and having a meal is fundamentally important. There's obviously huge amounts of science research out there that just the whole thing of eating with somebody, it does make you feel
just
closer.
Go to Italy and watch an Italian
families,
village,
20 people together. So how do we enable that in this fast-paced culture? And this was it to me. It just seems so obvious, and why aren't people doing it, quite frankly? But the lunch is the pre-theatre that we were discussing. It's an interesting one, but we've just got to drive the covers, which is a tough thing, particularly for a brand.
100%.
New brand, new concept.
But you're looking at, but what I find really interesting about it is the volume that's going through the Prets and these guys, right? The QSRE lunchtime stuff is huge. So you only have to take
a fraction.
Yeah, a fraction to make this work, right?
Yeah.
In each location.
Yeah.
And will you go? I'm guessing you'll go city to city as you grow.
Yeah, that's it. So right now we are 95% London. And that for us is our main target. So we are predominantly looking for restaurants that are near office conurbations, whether it's Canary Wharf, the city, Soho, pre-theatre.
Manchester might be interesting.
It will be interesting. It will be interesting, and we will go there, and probably quicker than I ever thought. But we have a really interesting partnership with Landsec. That's coming up. Which,
they were my landlords in all of my shopping centres. Yeah.
Obviously, quite a large property owner.
Yeah.
And obviously, office space, things like that. You have a lot of people working from home.
That's a great idea.
I think the general push is to get people back into the office. I mean, obviously, you've seen some big brands out there pretty much enforcing it.
Yeah.
And having bum fights with their staff with it. So essentially, we're working with them to make their office spaces better, to promote wellness to their staff. You've got some big brands that work in Landsec buildings. So essentially, they're saying to businesses, look, this office space is now a nicer place to be. We're going to be working with them to understand, how we're impacting wellness of their staff.
Yeah.
Are we helping out with productivity, and essentially getting businesses getting our solution out in front of businesses, whether it's through digital screens or pop-ups or emails to HR wellness side. And actually getting companies to endorse and encourage a decent lunch.
You could even put it into an EAP program, like into the employee assistance program, and have them part of the deal. I mean, Hospitality Rewards are one of our partners on the marketplace, and those guys do they do that. They offer all these benefits. That's definitely a benefit, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely a way of saying to someone, look, get your backside out.
Yeah.
Go and enjoy some food and come back here when you're done.
Yeah, and we're literally talking.
Please.
We've got to please
Don't go home.
but don't be too long.
Yeah.
But have a nice lunch.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got a pizza place in the city called SYP.
Right.
Great plus. Honestly, I haven't been yet, but we've got one of our guys going on Thursday. But they play jazz and have pizza.
Very cool.
But we're talking about pizza and a drink for 11 quid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you.
Why aren't people doing it?
Yeah, no.
It's the time factor. But yeah, going back to the Landsec thing, that for us is quite a great way, because it works for everybody, right? Essentially Landsec are getting restaurants who are quiet at lunch.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you the split. You might be able to tell me at Carluccio's, but your dinner service is where you make your money.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. So the more throughput we can get at lunch essentially makes the restaurants able to pay their rents better to Landsec. We've then got the...
It's a really clever way. It's a really clever way of playing it. Yeah.
And then we
Most
have...
of it on turnover rent as well, right? So
Yes, yeah. And then we have businesses that do want people to have proper breaks, and that's really quite important. And of course, it works for our restaurants because then they get more footfall, and it works for us because we earn money on that footfall. The only people that don't benefit from what we're doing essentially are the shareholders of certain companies, which to me is great. So yeah. That's
I know. I'm sitting. My brain's ticking because I'm thinking there's many ways you can do this. Actually, or the way you can put it out there. But lunchtime.
All it is, mate. Because, like I say, there is no textbook for what we're doing.
No, but it's just interesting to think about the split you mentioned there between lunch and dinner, and I'm sure it would have changed since the pandemic when I was doing it. But it was very much 80-20, right?
I was going to say,
yeah, very much, and it's just like the golden hour, right? You get that chance to do your dance and make your money, and if you don't get it, on to the next one, and then you become part of the evolution of all these places that don't make much money. So you mentioned roadmap, or you didn't say roadmap. You said you have thousands of things you'd like to do.
Yes.
What I suppose for you, from the early I know it's very early still, but from the early feedback and from what you're talking to customers, is there stuff you're thinking, God, we need to do that's crucial, we could do that quickly, or what are they asking for, I suppose?
Yeah, there's a few things, and we are talking to other technology partners, some quite large reservation providers, things like that we, and obviously we have the experience of working with and transacting millions of covers, so obviously through different guys, but connectivity for us, I mean, we're an API first build, right? So that for us is a great thing. It's going to make any kind of connectivity in API connections a lot simpler for us. But in terms of tangibly our next project, so I think you mentioned about your website, but we're plugging in Strappy at the moment, headless CMS, which is great, which gives some great content. The next thing we're doing is integrating WhatsApp, which will be great in terms of communications, stuff like that. And then I think general improvements are going to be some of our things. So the ability to take quite complex deposits as opposed to full payments.
Yeah.
But honestly, mate, you name it. I mean, we've thought of everything.
Deposits still. Is it still a battle for? I mean, from what you hear from deposits,
it's generally.
Battle's probably not the right word, but challenge.
Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, it's. And
people don't want to commit, do they?
No, they don't want to commit. But do I want to commit on behalf of you? You know, if I'm paying your tenner because I'm the organizer, but you just
very true.
I can't be bothered. Thanks, Chris.
Just don't trust it. Just not getting it back.
Not going. And that bill splitting side is
oh
difficult.
God,
it really is.
The days of the calculator at Hard Rock Cafe. I remember walking around with the hen party with my calculator, going, "Who are you, Debbie?" Right? Yeah, it was. I mean, wow. I mean, yeah. And from what I hear, it hasn't massively moved on in a lot of places. And I know, that's a sweeping statement, but I still think it's always going to be a chance. The complexity of that, as you said at the start of the podcast, is difficult because you've got to build around every eventuality. You can't just build for one, right? You've got every single little way that could run, which is enormously tricky.
Yeah, and to be honest, it does make you think how, particularly the first time, we really. I mean, when you start a business, it's quite good to be completely naive and not knowing what you're doing, because if you did, you probably wouldn't do it.
You just summed up my last 2 years in a sentence.
Yeah, so actually not knowing how things are and what thing, that's where I was with Easy Pre-orders back in the day. It was like, how are we going to do this? But we knew it, and.
It's part of the excitement. Come on, Mark.
But it is. But this, with this, the build commercially, I mean, you're talking about huge sums of money, and it's just tough for a company to start up in this tech space, because the capital you have to outlay to make a system work. And like you say, with all the connotations of different menus and different payment rules, and our service level is this. Okay, so we've got to have configurable service.
It's really we're in the middle of we have our own product which we've built, and we're playing with it at the moment until we get it out. And simplicity is everything. I mean, it depends where you want to be, right? If you want to be a big player, then you need connectivity. If you want to just have an even spread on some SME businesses, just keep it. I mean, I've seen some stuff go out there, and it was when you can't sell. When you have that moment in the folded arms, and people kind of open them and go, "Oh right, that." If you can't do that on your first sales meeting, then maybe go back to the drawing board.
That's it.
It's very interesting. I've learned a lot from watching, obviously from sitting with people like you every week and talking to people. You learn a lot very quickly of different bootstrap versus highly invested, and there's different approaches, I'm sure, either way. But I find it fascinating how the different founders approach it, particularly people like you who've been there and kind of done the hard yards in your first company. And then I just think it gives you some shortcuts as you come into the, not shortcuts as in being lazy, but shortcut. God, tie myself in the knot here, dig myself out.
No.
But you know what I mean? Shortcuts as in, that might not go right.
No, that's it, and it's all the way through from the creation of the company all the way through to EIS, SCIS, understanding EMI schemes, understanding how to go through a decent acquisition, rather than something that was very protracted. I learned a lot from that. And so it's a tough thing to do, but I do question why I did it sometimes, but you
did it because you're here now.
But it's the reflection, isn't it? Sometimes you've got to work out why you do stuff. And it's like kind of what makes you tick, Chris. What is it?
Who knows?
Who knows?
I mean, genuinely, who knows? But I believe I've influenced over the years in the industry. Right? You see a lot of stuff, you disagree with a lot of stuff, and then you want to change it. And I think that's what led me to this point. And I've always had quite an opinion on stuff. Whether I was vocal enough when I was younger, I don't know, but now I am. But yeah, it's true. And I think that's the makeup of great people anyway, right? The people that kind of take what they've seen and go, right, I want to do something about that. And it could be a politician, or it could be a tech founder, right? Let's stay as tech founders, it'd be easier.
Let's not go into
less people hate you.
No, that's it. But no, it's a tough thing. But it's I think generally, if you it's a tough game. I think we want to question how everything works, why does it work this way? And I did find myself, working in the corporate world in London when I was younger, going, why are we doing this? What is this? But because that's just the way it's always been. Yeah. And that's the only answer.
I think that's why I could never do office, or I've tried it, but it was just difficult because I had to question a lot. Yeah, and it's not it's not sanity. I'm just sitting there going, why are you doing the same thing over and over again? And moaning about your results. To change it and at least try. Yeah. At least have a look. So, and I get there's lots of corporate structure in the way of people doing that, but someone's got. It's like at the moment with the politicians in the world, we just need a rock star. One rock star will change everything. Yeah. But someone needs to stand up and do it. But I'm not sure. Those people are around at the moment, but anyway, we'll see. I don't want to get into that.
That's the political podcast.
Yeah, politics and religion. Yeah, don't do that. But look, and super excited. People always ask, the negativity about the industry, the costs are going up. Mm-hmm. What's the most exciting thing you're seeing as you go? As your team go and visit sites, and as you start to build the product, what are you kind of thinking? This is good news. Looking at the industry, because I think all the time we talk about. Please have an answer. I think all the time we look at what all the bad things is, but what are you seeing that's exciting?
Industry wide, it's a tough one, mate, isn't it?
I tried. I really tried that. To be positive.
You do see some trends. Looking more on the social side, you do see some trends around, the types of food that people are liking. Sharers are becoming a big thing. I've always have been. But particularly when it comes to content that you'll see, that's really
that experiential side is. Still, this is what you're doing, right? They're trying to encourage people away from that kind of transactional behaviour at lunchtime to an experiential behaviour.
It is. But let's be honest. The experiential behaviour has been kind of in vogue for the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years. What is an experience? But for us, you have experience and you have convenience, and essentially we're trying to merge the two. But going back to the question, it's tough out there, isn't it?
I've got a chap coming on now as a general manager of a hotel business, and he rang me this morning, said I'm coming on because I'm just trying to talk to myself, be positive before I come on there. I was like, okay, good. And he just said, no, we just got the first version of what it looks like come April, and he said, we've got to do something.
Yes, and is the answer to everything like it is? Is it AI? Is it automation? Is it robots? Working on your front of house? Are they going to work in the kitchen? And I don't know. For me, AI will play a part in the back office.
Just automating the stuff that you do. I think AI will play a massive part in consistency, which I think we've been always been lacking in the industry. I think some businesses are too big. Lots of different levels to report to, from waiter to area GM, area all the way up the tree. That gets a bit convoluted and stuff gets lost. Consistency in information giving, I think, is super important. So we're all on the same page. That's a great place to start any business, right? Just that me and you think about the same thing the same way. That helps a lot, and I think that really lacks in hospitality. I think
Yeah, and you could certainly use AI to do that. I mean, obviously facial recognition can turn into plate recognition. Whether it's coming out from the kitchen. For me, AI within accountancy, I think could be really quite cool. Obviously business owners don't really know about their balance sheets and profit and loss accounts until it's gone through the accountant's eyes and gone through the dredging. But you know given the fact that you have to model a number of variables, I think AI could help restaurateurs.
Something like querying, almost like using an AI query on like a set of numbers, saying, "Hey, look, how was last week compared to this week?" Bang, straight away.
So for us, it will play a part. I mean, not now because that it's on our list of 1,000,001 things to build, right? But AI will play a part for us when we start to understand, at its point, how do we speed service? And given the fact that we're going to have so many data points, we're going to have what people have chosen, what day of time they're going, what restaurant they're going to.
That's a super interesting data set you're going to be sitting on.
We're going to have a huge amount, and the thing is with data, it's just how you use it.
I mean, for the market, for the industry, in terms of what you learn from the way people behave around that period of lunch or or dinner, I think that's super interesting in terms of thought leading on it, to be able to explain to people what it looks like, because I think there's a massive educational piece to be done on each day part still, because it's changed, everything's changing, and I think there's some real opportunity with you guys with the data, as you said, all the different data points you have to be able to tell that story.
Yeah, definitely, and for us, it could potentially be exceptionally disrupting to technology providers out there at the moment, because we're taking the booking, we're taking the pre-order, we're taking the payment. So actually, are we cutting out pretty much every single tech supplier before we've even walked in?
They're all more eye rolling going on right now.
And then we provide little PDAs, so we're going to be tracking the meal service times. Like I say, with GPS, we use GPS to understand when people are walking in. Is it the fact that you didn't have a half an hour turn because it was this meal that you chose? So do we recommend to the restaurateur you need to tailor your menus, you speed service, you turn tables quicker, you make more money? And that's generally the premise. So I see AI working there massively. And just understanding data. I'm not a fan of it at front of house. I've made restaurant reservations and I've been answered the phone to AI. I find it very impersonal, and my propensity to not turn up would be significantly higher if I'm talking to a robot.
We had it on the pod the other week. Someone played it down the phone. It was interesting. But I heard it at the Open Table conference as well. They had it. They played it. I think I can't remember the code now. Another AI supplier played it, and Open Table are looking at using it. And I mean, obviously, it's obvious. You know what it is. And my worry is that there's a lot of repetition, and it takes the call is potentially longer. And as you said, you're very like ordering a takeaway, right? Yeah. You're kind of in the moment for 20, 30 seconds, and done. I'll go and ring the other guy.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think that might happen.
Yeah, and
not everyone, but
well, it's that. But the personalization, if you're going to a restaurant, I don't want a robot serving. I want to have like you say, going back to the experience point. I love a restaurant where I go into. You have attentive staff. You have menus that are potentially even handwritten.
Yeah.
They can be.
God.
I know, but we can use it.
No, but I know what you're saying. Someone said you ring up to book. You walk up on the front door. Same girl who booked you in.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, how are you? Oh, I spoke to you last week. That kind of stuff is in. I mean, I know everyone goes, "Oh, yeah, obvious," but it's not obvious anymore.
No.
If you've been out dining anywhere in the last 6 months, you'll find that actually that's becoming a challenge, and that experiential part is slowly drawing off because lack of people, lack of training, all that kind of stuff. So it is changing. So if you can deliver those little moments, that's hospitality.
Definitely, but I think you speak to operators, and a lot of it is we've got to get a bit of CRM system. We've got to have a good picture of people that we walk in. But it's the staff, isn't it? And staff are a challenge. We know in any business,
always
employing people, finding staff that care, understand your brand is tough.
Yeah,
it really is tough. And we'll see what happens, in the next few months, because and I just find it a little bit frustrating when you have like minimum wages going up and stuff like that, but then the staff there in some places you go to just don't look like they care. I would have loved to have earned.
It's weird. My boy Shay's 17. He works at Peter Pilgrim's in Cardiff, so he's about to go to uni, and he's just raising some cash. So I refuse to pay. But he really cares, right? I think probably because I'm in this world, but he genuinely comes home. But then some days he comes home and he just he ran the pass or whatever, and he said, "I got put on pass because they said I wasn't with it, which I can see, right? I live with him, I know what he's like. But I think there's the general manager role in all these businesses is the most important role in the business all the time. China is his GM. He loves her, and therefore he works hard for her. I mean, literally, I couldn't make it more simple than that. And I think when these big brands are going, oh, why aren't we getting this retention, that, just look at your GMs. If they're great ass kickers who really engage, who love, like you say, who love your brand, kind of walk through walls for you, look after them, and they'll do the same for their team. It's really simple, but I think it gets diluted as it gets bigger. Anyway, I digress. I could go on that for ages. You've got me kicking. Anyway, look, how do people get hold of you? Because I think there's two here, right? There's the restaurant side of people. Like, do they just go, I found it before on the website? What? There's one site, isn't there?
So we've got rapid-res.com, which is our kind of our search and book platform for diners, and then we've got venues.rapid-res.com, which is for restaurants. But yeah, I mean, just drop us an email, give us a call. I mean, I'm Mark Roberts, mark.roberts@rapidres.com. Any questions or anything like that or thoughts? Love to hear them.
I think we do a thing called the Crust Council, which is where we bring a bunch of people together, tech guys and operators, once a quarter. I mean, they'll probably listen to this going, liar. I try and do it once a quarter, but it's really interesting for people like you. Actually, in the tech side, we have the guys, the big players, right, been here forever, but then we also like to encourage people who are just starting out, actually, or on the cusp of building something big. So it's really interesting, and then have the operators kind of just come together and we talk about general problems. So I'll be great to have you join us. I'll share the details after this. But yeah, and I think people should come and check you out. I think I always think when a founder comes back the second time, you need to stay close to it. because it means something interesting is going to happen. I think. They're mad.
I'll be honest. I do look at where this is going and how quick we've ramped up operations, and the sales has been so much quicker than I thought. But again, it's down to the feedback we're getting. It's, for me, making this business work is a matter of time and money. I mean, that's all it is, really. We have a clear vision of where we want it to be. We really think it could change the industry. Someone's going to do it. Let's hope it's us.
It's on you.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, I would love to come back. But yeah, I don't want to come back looking bedraggled and depressed and stuff like that.
Well, I'll ring you beforehand, right? Just double check where you're at. No more bedraggled guests.
It went fantastically, Chris.
Well, just lie. You just I'm sure some have before you. Anyway, look, thank you very much for coming. Back to walking the dog, is it? Where are you heading back to?
I'm going over to Covent Garden for a meeting, and then I'm going to go back to Westmoreland, walk the dog, and relax.
So have a lovely evening, my friend. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for
go and check out Rapid Res, and these guys will be bigger than you will quite soon.
I hope so.
Cheers.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, mate. Bye-bye.